Hi everybody, welcome back to Tools and Tricks for Extraordinary Living with Grant. I'm going to be making this short video for you today to talk about Bandha and Mudra, which are taken from the Hatha Yoga system as ways in which we can manipulate and control and contain the life force that is flowing through our body. So I'm just going to jump right in because this is a topic we were talking about in the Pranayama Sangha, the Wednesday sessions that I lead live, where we work with breathwork and different yogic techniques to enhance the flow of energy in our body, to create a more ecstatic condition, and to create a nervous system that is prepared to sustain an extraordinary life, a life of health, wealth, abundance, happiness, joy, contentment, all these things that are possibilities for all of us. And yeah, it doesn't matter what we have, it matters who we are. And these tools, these yogic techniques, are ways in which we can train and cultivate our energy and the energy, the body beneath the body. Do you know, like we have a physical body and we have all these things that are important we take care of, what we eat, sleep, exercise, all that stuff. But the yogis would say that there are layers to our body that also need development and training. And by developing and training these additional bodies, the whole being benefits. And that's not just this whole being, but the whole being. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. So going back to Bandha and Mudra from the Hatha Yoga system. Bandha means bind. It also can mean tie. And a bandha is a way in which we can tie the mind, the psychology, to a physical and energetic process that's happening in the body. And the importance of knowing this is that when we learn that that's what's happening, that we're literally creating a container for the mind through the application of Bandha and Mudra, which I'll get into in a moment, then we start to embody the mind. And by embodying the mind, we can start to embody the image that we hold in our mind. Does that make sense? So if you hold an image of yourself that is loving, that is compassionate, that is generous, that is walking in a beautiful way on this earth, what is the difference between that image that is in your imagination and the manifestation of that image is the activation of the psychic pathways that are necessary to bring forth the manifestation of what is essentially an idea or is unmanifest. So when we want to bring the unmanifest into manifest, which is the bridge from A to B, the bridge from spirit into form, into matter, we have to develop a system that can actually create and hold those frequencies, those bigger or more expansive realities. I think you guys followed that. So the way that we do that with Bandha, as a bind or a tie for the mind, specifically we have three of these: Mula Bandha, the root lock; Uddiyana Bandha, the stomach lock; and then Jalandhar Bandha, the neck lock. And these are the three main bandhas. There are also little minor bandhas: Hasta Bandha, hand lock; you have Pada Bandha, the foot lock. There are minor ones that we won't talk about, but these three main locks, the root, the stomach, and the throat, help create a seal and a container for the mind in the central nervous system. That is the spine and the brain. And so when we create a seal and a container for the mind in this central channel, we start to open up this incredible column of light and fire and transformation. The yogis called it the Sushumna Nadi. The Sushumna Nadi. And so to open up this column through the application of Bandha in our breathing practices are what allow prana, the life force that sustains us, that animates us, that creates possibility. If we want to create new outcome in life, to be truly creative, we need prana, we need energy to do that. Otherwise, prana stays locked in certain habitual loops and patterns, and we call that karma. That's a habitual way of thinking or being in the world. Or samskara is literally the yogic word for the neural groove that is causing us to repeat a certain behavior pattern or belief. So when we work with Bandha, we are starting to apply our breath work in a particular way that allows it to become pranayama, which is pranayama, the restraint of the life force. And I'm using this motion because we want to bring our energy and life force back into a vessel that can hold it, that's not constantly leaking out and sending it off into different loops and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Bandha is one way in which we do that. And we can train our Bandha in our kumbhakas, our breath retentions. Remember, kumbhaka is the word for breath retention, where the breath is either held in or held out. That little space where the breath is retained, or long space, depending on how you're training, is called the kumbhaka. And during breath retention, you can really work with the bandhas. You can also work with mudras. And this is a mudra. This is a classic mudra. Gyan mudra or chin mudra. So you see people meditating like this because this allows no energy to escape, or prevents energy from escaping. When your fingers are open, energy can escape in that area. So this is like a loop for the nervous system to stay inside. 2 key mudras, which I'll share with you in this video. Khetri mudra, the tongue, pressing the roof of the mouth. So you press it to the upper palate, and then you curl it and scoot it backwards. So the bottom of your tongue is on the roof of your mouth and towards the back of your throat. In advanced stages of this practice, it can start to work its way up and sort of tickle the pineal gland. Ooh. So Khetri mudra, the tongue controls the whole nervous network up the spine, and it starts to lift energy and create space in this area through your throat, especially if you're engaged in Jalandhara and Bandha. And then the Khetri mudra, you create space so energy can flow into the higher centers of the brain. And then with the eyes, which control the optic nerve and stretch that final strand of nervous tissue, and you focus it upward. Shambhavi mudra. And so when you engage the 3 bandhas, the root lock lifting, the stomach hugging in, and the chin tucking, the tongue to the roof of the mouth, the eyes focus upward. You have Maha Bandha, which is the great seal. The 3 locks are engaged. And then tongue and eyes, adding that, creates Maha Mudra, the great seal. So those 5 create a really strong field that really holds the mind in a particular way, so that the energy of the mind has to be in its centralized position. And this is the goal of pranayama. The final goal of pranayama is the cessation of mental activity. So when the mental activity has ceased, all that's left is a buzzing, dynamic process of life. But we don't need the psychology to interpret that. That life just is as it is, and that psychology is sort of an added imposition. And so yoga, if we're looking at the whole dealio that we're doing, is to actually prevent the mind from getting in the way. All these practices, all these cultivation techniques allow it so that the mind stops getting in the way, and that we can live a truly extraordinary life, one in which everything is beautiful, everything is radiant, our nervous system is built for ecstatic expansion and radiance, and the natural joy of being is present for us no matter what's happening in the outside world. And this is a possibility for every human being. So if you're breathing and you have a nervous system, which it means you're alive, then these tools and tricks are absolutely relevant to living an extraordinary life. So join me Wednesday. We have a live session, which you're welcome to join. Use the code SANGHA for $5 off. SANGHA, SANGHA, $5 off. And that's over at my website, grantifflander.com/the Pranayama Sangha. There'll be a link below, so you can click on that. All right, you guys, come join me. I'm so excited and thankful to be sharing these practices with the growing community of practitioners all over the world We have people from South Africa, people from the UK, people from the US, from Costa Rica joining us, and it's just, the energy is growing. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you for another video of tools and tricks for extraordinary living. Namaste.